Hi everyone, and welcome back to Radical Motherhood. My name is Allison, and my sister Emily and I have a blog over at radicalmotherhood.com, and we write blog posts mainly about being a stay-at-home mom and how important it is to be a stay-at-home mom. This is what I was attempting to do here, is to film a vlog, and I wanted to do it where I was talking into the camera and just taking you guys along with our day. And I kind of discovered that I'm just not very good at that. It feels really weird to narrate what you're doing while you're doing it. And I know it's just in front of my kids, but I don't know, I wasn't very good at it. And so another factor was my camera doesn't show me what I'm filming, like the screen is on the back. So most of the shots of me are kind of looking like up my nose, like I had it too low. So that's gross. And then it's so loud at my house, and you don't really notice it when you're in it. When I'm in it, probably other people do notice it, but it didn't even register to me that there was so much background noise. But there was so much background noise.
So Grace
And it was a windy day, so the wind outside was terrible. So anyway, it just didn't go very well. So I'm going to narrate in the background and just show you some video from a couple of days this week. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about enjoying your kids and how to enjoy your kids, and how, a lot of times the argument is that, oh, I could never stay at home with my kids. We would drive each other crazy. And I think it's true that, as with anyone, any relationship, you drive each other crazy once in a while. But ultimately, you can have, 95% of your day be wonderful, and you can enjoy your kids, and really a lot of it is under your control. So anyway, without further ado, here is our day.
Okay, so I am going to talk mainly about my tips kind of for enjoying your time at home with your kids. And if I see something that is super interesting that we're doing, then I'll stop and kind of explain to you what we're doing. We just took this opportunity here to play outside because it has been so cold and rainy, and we just had a beautiful day. So that's what we're doing right here. Over on radicalmotherhood.com, we have a blog post right now that is out. It should be the most recent one if you go on there. I will link it below. And it's about how to enjoy your kids. And I have these 5 what I think are just amazing tips that will help you, that have helped me, because I have been a stay-at-home mom for about 10 years. For about 10 years before that, I was a working mom. And so I have had a lot of time to get to know myself and to get to know kids in general, and my kids specifically. So I hope these will help you. The first one is huge. It is by far the most important rule or tip. It is to be aware of and in control of your mood. So, there's a saying that says, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. And that is so true. And for me, if I get into a bad mood, it is really hard to get out of a bad mood. And sometimes I don't even want to get out of the bad mood. I just kind of want to stew and be mad at everyone and feel justified in my anger about how, no one's helping me and no one's cooperating. And, as a mom, a stay-at-home mom, you do have a lot of things that you really could get upset about and complain about and feel, just not very in the mood to be pleasant about. But you got to take control of your mood, and you're the only one who can do it. You can't wait for something to cheer you up. You can't wait for one of your kids to come up to you and say, oh, Mom, I'm so sorry. You look so unhappy. What can I do? I mean, there are kids who would do that. I have a child who would probably do that. But ultimately, we're the grown-ups. We are the ones in charge, and you just cannot let yourself get into a bad mood and stay there. So couple of things that work for me is to get away, even if it's just for 15 minutes, even if it's just like sitting in the car or sitting in the bathroom, or, the best thing for me is to get out of the house. But sometimes there's no one to watch the kids, so you just have to stay there and do the best you can. But go somewhere where they're not with you and where it's quiet and calm, and just ask God to help you. Tell him, everything that's frustrating you and ask him to just help you to remember that these are all blessings, and that grace, and that God gave you these children, and this house that you live in. There are people who would just do anything to be able to have your kids and have your house and have your life. And just remember to be grateful, I guess, is the big thing for me, because I get caught up in what I don't have and what's not going right, and you just have to switch that around and focus on all of the good stuff. And so that is my advice right. All right, my second tip is to avoid being in a hurry. And if you're like me and you're naturally not a very patient person anyway, this one is a big deal. When I'm in a hurry, I get so frustrated, and I tend to yell, and I get all worked up over, we need to be here at a certain time, and I love to be on time, and kids just do not care. It just doesn't even register with them. And so the less that I am in a hurry, the better off we all are. So do things like start getting ready for things really early, way earlier than you probably think you need to be. Um, okay, I'm going to have to stop talking here for a minute because this next little bit is extremely adorable. It is Fisher and Rose, and they're sitting by the window, and you have to listen carefully, see if you can understand what Fisher is singing. It's so cute.
Is a pizza. I'm not hiding. Equip it. Oh my God, I'm a dog person.
Okay, so what was I saying? Avoid being in a hurry. If you have to do anything that is time sensitive, try to do it before your husband goes to work or after he gets home from work, or just try to avoid anything that's going to make you feel rushed while your kids are around, because nothing puts me in a bad mood faster, for one thing. And when I'm in a hurry, I tend to say and do things that I later regret and have to apologize for. So the third little bit of advice I have, and this comes, I would say the longer you're a mom and the longer that you know your kids, the easier this is, and that is to avoid unrealistic expectations. So, toddlers are going to behave like toddlers. Teenagers going to behave like teenagers. If you have a child who, you know, really hates picking up his room, he is going to really hate picking up his room. So I think it's important that we have expectations for our kids, and it's important that we're pushing them and challenging them to grow and be more mature and take on more responsibility, because, that's the whole point of being a parent. But you have to balance that with everyone in your house feeling like they are loved and feeling like they are accepted for who they are, and for lessening the tension between you and your kids, and for just, I guess, to deepen relationships with your children, you have to ask yourself, is this battle worth it? Is it worth me criticizing this behavior? How important is it? If there's something that you're always struggling with a particular child, and just over and over, you feel like you're always on them about it, ask yourself, what if I just let this go? What if I just stopped worrying about this one little thing, or medium-sized thing? What would happen? What is the worst that could come out of that? And then ask yourself, if we didn't have this one issue between us, how much better would our relationship be? How much closer would we feel to each other? Because home should be a place where you feel safe and loved. And if your expectations are too high, and you're too critical, you can end up having kids who feel like, what, nothing's going to make this lady happy. I give up. I'm done. And you definitely don't want that. All right, so my next tip is to establish a routine. And it doesn't have to be a crazy strict routine where, we wake up at 8 o'clock and at 8:05 we eat breakfast and at 8:17 we do that. Because that doesn't work for me. Um, I think routine is more of a we do these things in this general order at these general times every day. Um, because if you don't have a routine, then you can, I don't know how to explain it. You almost feel like nothing ever gets done and everything is always chaos. And your kids really do like routines and they need routines to feel um, safe and secure, and they really like to know what's coming next. So the more that you can make the same things happen at the same times every day, the better off everybody is going to be. And you eliminate a lot of um, I guess a lot of headaches and stress on your own part because you don't have to worry about, well, okay, tomorrow, what are we going to do tomorrow? How is tomorrow going to happen? When are we going to eat lunch? When are we going to do this? If you just kind of let it happen at the same time every day, then everybody can just kind of relax and it becomes second nature. So, let's see. Oh, another benefit of a routine is that when your body is used to waking up at the same time, and we all know this, this is not anything new that I'm telling you, but when your body is used to waking up at the same time and eating at the same time and sleeping at the same time, then you naturally start to wake up at the same time and you get hungry at the same times. And so if you struggle with certain kids about, getting enough sleep and I want them to get up at this time and they never want to get up, or they're hungry all day long and I feel like they don't eat at meal times, you can solve a lot of that by putting it on a stricter schedule. And I need to take my own advice here because anyone will tell you that my kids' eating and sleeping habits are not spectacular. My final one is that to not compare your family to other families. And I do this all the time, and it never makes me feel good. I never look at the other family and go, oh, I am so much better at this and this than they are. It always feels, it always makes me feel worse. And so you have to remember that for one thing, things are different when other people are around. And even if it's a really close friend or a sibling, you just don't know what it's really like on the inside when you're not living it. And for another thing, if you're like me and you watch YouTube, I mean, that's even this right here. These are highlights. This is the film worthy. Okay, I'm going to have to stop talking again here because there's another cute little kid thing coming up. This is just our dinner that I made, stir fry. It's my husband's favorite thing. He ate it for every meal for years before we got married, so I try to make it as much as I can handle it. So here, stay tuned for this cute moment. All right, here's some Easter egg happening here. What a mess. I always forget. I always forget how hard and messy this is. Anyway, so I was saying not to compare. So when I look at someone and compare myself to them, usually what I'm doing is I'm picking out something awesome about them or their family, like, oh, they say the rosary with their kids every day, or she works full time and she homeschools and her kids are amazing, or she has 13 children and her house is immaculate, or things that are a really admirable quality about them. And then I look at and compare myself to that and I see all the ways that I fall short. But you have to think about that and go, how could one person possibly have the best qualities of all these other people? Because I'm looking at what is probably one of someone's biggest strengths and I'm thinking, well, why don't I have that? And then I look at another friend and I say, well, why don't I have their biggest strength? And why don't I have their biggest strength? And you just got to remember that everyone has strengths and weaknesses, and it's kind of like I said earlier, where you just can't know um, what's going on when you're not around. So I've had people tell me that they think I am just so patient. They just admire me so much for my patience, and I think, are you crazy? I don't, how could you? I am so impatient. I can't believe that you're even thinking that. So just remember that for one thing, no one can be perfect. You cannot have all of these wonderful qualities all rolled into one person. And if someone else does seem to have them, then what I have taught myself to do, and it's a struggle, but what I try to do is just appreciate that in that person and admire that in that person and accept that that's just not one of my gifts, and that all of our good qualities are gifts from God, and He has not blessed me with certain things, and He has a reason for that. And so sometimes, our weaknesses are where God is working on us, and He wants us to realize that we have those weaknesses because He wants to draw us closer to Him. And so um, it's good to remember that God's in control, and that you are not God, and you are not perfect, and that we're all learning. And I feel one of the things I love about being an older mom is that I finally feel like I have some wisdom that I can share, and that I can look back on 20 years ago when I was a brand new mom and go, you know what? I have learned some things. So it is true that as time goes on, if you want to improve at something, you know, you can. You can. So when I look at someone and I think, oh, I wish I could be like that, then another thing is to just pinpoint, well, what is it that you really admire, and is there anything that you can do to actually work toward that, rather than just what I like to do is moaning and groaning about how, oh, why can't I be like that? Try to figure out if there is a way to acquire those skills. So I hope that everybody enjoyed this. Let's see, how much longer am I going to be cleaning the kitchen? Those eggs, man, we had glitter, which I should know better. Who out there as a mom doesn't know that you don't do glitter? But the weird looking mess was you're supposed to whip up this packet of egg whites, powdered egg whites, which didn't work, so I got some real egg whites. And then you dump the color in it, and you're supposed to swish the egg, and it's supposed to look like a unicorn swirl. But it really, I don't know, not worth it. I loved the foil ones. You just wrap it in foil, but then the kids have been taking those apart ever since. So I don't know about that either. So this was just a couple of normal days, and I feel like a lot of it was in the kitchen, but that is just the reality of being a stay-at-home mom. You're always cleaning something or cooking something, or yeah. So here I am getting done with the cleaning. Um, I had to rinse out all the stuff, put it all away. I don't remember what the kids were doing at this point, but usually in the afternoon there's kind of a lull, and the little ones will take a nap, and the older ones get to watch a show on TV, or two shows or whatever. And then I don't usually try to get anything super important done because, again, I have learned my lesson. I worked from home for a while, and it was just so frustrating to me because just when you kind of get in that groove where you're in the zone and your creative juices are flowing or whatever, then that's when somebody wakes up or somebody comes in, and I would get so mad about it and so frustrated with them, and it just is not worth it to me to try to do anything that requires that level of concentration, I guess. So usually I clean while they're busy, or I try to catch up on reading. If I'm really lucky, I get to read a book or something in the afternoon. Um, the weather was so nice that we were outside in the garden a little bit, and I don't really know how to transplant flowers, but I was trying to transplant some flowers, so we'll see if they all die. But that's about it. This next little clip is cute. It's the kids talking to one of their friends on FaceTime, which was so wonderful. Grace even got on with her friend, and they were playing Barbies and taking each other all over the house. And it was really fun. So if anybody is stuck at home, I highly recommend FaceTime with the friends because it was amazing. And then this last part, I feel so bad because it looks like I'm trying to ignore my wonderful husband as he's serenading me, but I don't know. I don't know. He's so wonderful. Such a great guy. So I'm going to say goodbye and I will see you guys in the comments.
You light up my
Snapped
life.
again.
You give me hope to
Mama, settles
carry
in.
on. You light up my day
Mom,
and fill my life with song. I can't
That's
remember the
weird.
words, but you